Coming up this week, off-screen.
Disney takes to the water with Moana.
Miles Teller wants to bleed for this.
There's a miracle on the Hudson with Sully.
Chicago goes ancient Greek with Chi-Raq.
Frank Zappa wants you to eat that question.
And Haley Steinfeld is teetering on the edge of 17.
All this to come and more off-screen.
This is Off-Screen. Off-Screen. With the latest film news and reviews, this is Off-Screen, the on-screen radio show.
Welcome to Off-Screen, I'm Van Connor.
I am Case Allen.
Well, fun week then this week, Mr. Allen. So loads of film news, and there's always the fun box office up 10 to do. And, well, we've got some interesting films.
Yeah, we've got some interesting film news.
Some interesting films. But the weird thing, last week, it was only when it was going out, a couple of days later after we recorded it, that I realised that actually last week was a really bad week for films. And I was looking through all the releases.
I could tell when, yeah,
it was a bad week.
We really struggled to pick a film of a week. I do.
We did, didn't we?
Yeah. What was it in the end?
I
feel like we had to begrudgingly give it to someone.
I settled on the first half of Allied, if you remember. That's what it was. I said half of Allied.
Slim pickings.
Yeah, really slim. It wasn't a great week for film. I got to give it that.
But this looks like a pretty darn enticing.
Pretty darn enticing. Yeah. So why don't you kick us off with some film news and let's see what's going on in the world.
Okay, let's start with something fun. I love it when a film does well. Mm-hmm. I love it even more when a film loses money.
Okay, what's lost some money for you now?
Okay, so I have a list of the top 10 or bottom 10, depending on your stance, films that have lost the most money this year.
Okay.
It's been released. I believe this was on Forbes. I think it was on
that
Forbes.
Makes sense. Yeah, Forbes, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to just rattle through them. So, top 10, it's a film called Mastermind. I don't think we've had the pleasure yet.
We've not. That Mastermind is the one with Zach Galifianakis, isn't it?
It is, yeah, from Jared Hess, who did Napoleon Dynamite. And
the reasoning behind that making so little money is because its studio went bankrupt.
That's be right. Its budget was 25 mil. It only reaped 22 mil, so didn't even get a profit on that one.
Wow.
Number 9
Go on.
is a film that you have seen, and it's coming out next week.
Mm-hmm.
Snowden.
Oh,
yeah.
well, okay.
These were all from the States.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Forbes, you can imagine.
Number 8, you were not a fan of this one, and nor was I, Grimsby.
Oh, no, it was god-awful. It really was.
And it only made a paltry 28.7 million on a 35 million budget.
Wow.
Number 7 was Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Oh, I liked Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
I just saw that on a plane.
You saw that on a plane?
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
Watched a lot of films this time on a plane. It was good.
I remember.
Keeping Up with the Joneses was number 6. And nobody kept up with them.
Nobody kept up with that at all, no.
Number 5 is that Ratchet and Clank
Oh, God, yeah. That has actually... There's been a lot of think pieces about like why that existed and where it went wrong. And yeah.
It's a shame because I feel like there could have been a good version of it somewhere.
Quite possibly. But no, this film, not very good.
Not very good. Number 4, I actually quite enjoyed and I saw it recently. Pride, Prejudice and Zombies.
Oh, I liked that.
I thought it was nice. It's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun, isn't it? Number 3, this is going to break your heart, my friend.
Go on.
Popstar Never Stop Stopping.
Never Stopping.
Yeah.
We got there in the end, but oh my God, why? I love that movie.
I know, it's not good.
I'm so humble.
The budget was 20 mil, only made 9.5.
And yet, would you believe it got the almost universally positive reviews in the States?
It did, apart from certain critics who were like over 45.
Yeah, well, that happened in the UK, and a lot of them I remember talking to afterwards, and a surprising number of film critics do not know who Justin Timberlake is.
No, you had to explain to them who JT was.
Yeah, imagine having to explain to a sentient human being in 2016 who Justin Timberlake is. That's a hard conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the actual reality was, well, the character in that film you've just seen, basically just imagine the real version of that, and you've got JT.
Yeah, from Trolls, that song that you now cannot get out of your head. That's the guy responsible.
So that was number 3, right?
That was number 3. Number 2 was Free State of Jones, which I enjoyed.
Yes, I liked it. You saw it?
I've seen it now, yeah. It is very much Prince of Thieves.
You saw the Prince of Thieves comparison. Good.
It is Prince of Thieves. And number 1...
Go on.
With a budget of 10 million, reaping only 4.4 million.
Oh, God, what was it?
I don't think we've had this yet. It's a film called Max Steel.
Max Steel? No, we haven't had it yet, but I don't know if that's actually going to get an actual fully fledged theatrical release.
I think based on this... on this kind of success.
I know it got a trailer and a release within about a week. So the first trailer debuted, I think it was like a week before.
Yeah. So it's sort of a superhero film, sort of a sci-fi robot
based on
film.
Mattel. Is it Mattel or
it is,
a
but
toy
yeah,
line?
it's a kid that sort of fuses with a robot essentially, and has got all these powers, and it's not doing very well. And I doubt that we're ever going to see it.
I did watch the trailer, and I did think.
I got halfway through the trailer, and I was out.
Oh, really? I felt like I could have stood to sit through it.
Yeah,
I felt like I would have given
you've got
it a chance.
much higher tolerance for crap.
Yes, I do. much higher tolerance. It's true.
Okay, well, shall we move on to a review?
Let's do
Sully. Let's talk about Sully. I've seen this.
Haven't you?
This, yes.
Okay, right. So why don't you take the review for a change? Come on, lead the way. What's the plot of Sully then, Mr. Allen?
I am ill prepared.
You're ill prepared.
I am ill prepared, and I want to drink my coffee.
Okay, so it's the story, the true story of the real man, Chelsea Sullenberger, who's the captain for US Airways, and flight 1549, I think it was, that had to sustain a forced water landing into the Hudson when both of the engines went out.
Yeah.
Due to bird strikes, both of the engines on this passenger plane go out.
It pretty much just began its takeoff.
It hadn't reached an altitude that would have allowed it to have made its way to another airport.
It's in the air for, is it 200 seconds, he says? Something like that.
He says about 240 seconds. It might be in the clip, I don't know. Okay. But and obviously this is the real thing. You might remember The Miracle on the Hudson. Tom Hanks is playing Sullenberger here. You've got Aaron Eckhart as the co-pilot. And the gist of the film is it begins after the actual Miracle on the Hudson. It begins with the beginning of the inquiry. The inquiry into could this have been avoided? And over the course of the following, about 96 minutes, isn't it? Something like that?
Yeah, it's quite
a short film, yeah. Over the course of the next 96 minutes, we get to find out exactly what happened in flashback form. Here's a clip.
Today, we begin with our Operation and Human Performance investigation on the crash of U.S. Airways Flight 1549.
Water landing.
Captain?
This was not a crash, and it wasn't a ditching. We knew what we were trying to execute here. It's not a crash. It was a forced water landing.
Why didn't you attempt to return to LaGuardia?
There simply was not enough altitude. The Hudson was the only place that was long enough and smooth enough and wide enough to even attempt to land the airplane safely.
Air traffic testified that you stated you were returning to LaGuardia, but you did not.
I realized I could make it back, and it would have eliminated all the other options. Returning to LaGuardia would have been a mistake.
Okay, well, let's get into how you calculated all those parameters.
There was no time for calculating. I had to rely on my experience of managing the altitude and speed of thousands of flights over 4 decades.
You're saying you didn't do any...
I eyeballed it.
You eyeballed it.
Yes.
Hanks then, teaming up with Clint Eastwood.
Captain Hanks.
Well, yeah, because, we all know, if you get a captain to cast, you go and you get Tom Hanks.
That's it. If
that
you can't get Barkhad Abdi to be the captain now, you just give it to Tom.
Because we all know that Barkhad Abdi is the captain
He's the
now.
captain now.
So what did you think of Sully then, Mr. Allen?
I liked it. It had the feel of a TV film, definitely.
I found that as well,
I don't know if the non-linear storytelling aspect worked that well.
I felt like that was trying to push a justification for its existence. Yes, this is a theatrical thing because we've gone non-linear experimental
I do think that it's a story that deserves to be told because it was pretty amazing what happened. I remember when it happened. It was incredible.
It was just a surprise of, okay, there's a plane in the Hudson. Okay, makes complete sense.
Yeah.
But I did like Hanks in it. I thought Hanks was very good, but in that effortless way. It was effortless Hanks.
This was so reliable.
Yeah, yeah. This is workman-like Hanks, really. This is not pushing him into
it's not
anything
Captain
new.
Phillips.
It's not. This is more Bridge of Spies Hanks, I would say. I would go with that. That's not just a workman-like, there's a negative connotation to that. There isn't in the case of Hanks. Yeah. His workman-like is
it services the story.
It does, yeah. I thought Aaron Eckhart deserves more praise than he's getting for this. I thought Aaron Eckhart was really likable.
Really good supporting turn.
And there's some wasted cast members in there. I thought, Laura Linney totally wasted. Why on earth they bothered to get Anna Gunn in there from Breaking Bad?
Yeah,
I counted. She had 7 lines.
Right. Okay.
7 lines. Yeah. And most of those were at the very end. I think until the final 10 minutes of the film, she has 2 lines, and then she gets 5 all at once. So fair play to her. But so Skylar's clearly moving on to bigger and better things. I did think it was definitely worth the watch. I think it is. It's a Tom Hanks film directed by Clint Eastwood. It is good. It's well directed.
It's the first time they've ever worked together as well, which is pretty cool.
I was shocked at that as well because they are 2 American cinema legends.
By this point, they would have worked together.
I think it did bring the requisite Clint Eastwood style of American Regency to the story. I think it needed that. There is this sort of weirdly subdued colour palette to it, and I found as well. I thought it was a very strange choice, but it kind of works. On the whole, I quite liked it, but I did feel like the non-linear, the idea of showing things out of sequence, the way it was framed, I think there is this very visible attempt to justify why this is a theatrical offering. And, I mean, even the runtime doesn't particularly help in that regard. It does feel very much like Clint Eastwood's done a TV movie, but because it stars Tom Hanks, you are going to pay the money, you are going to sit there in the dark in silence, and you are going to watch it and pay attention. Do you have anything to add to that?
I think you pretty much summed it up.
Fair enough, then. So we should plug the podcast real quick before we move on, then.
Yeah, where can we be found?
We can be found on Deezer. We can be found on Acast. We can be found on iTunes. We can be found on TuneIn. Pick your podcast platform of choice. Just type in Off Screen. It's on there. You get the full and extended version of the show, which this week includes 2 reviews we can't fit into the radio edit, and those are for Chi-Raq and
for Eat This Question, Frank Zappa.
Yeah, the Frank Zappa documentary.
Really kind of wait to see that.
And, of course, if you also go on to onscreenfilm.com, you can find it there, along with some competitions, because we love giving you the chance to win things.
Yeah, I wish I could win things. I want things.
Technically speaking, there is nothing in the... You can enter, but you are subject to the same luck of the draw as everyone else.
Yeah, but my moral compass is far too strong.
That's fair. Well, no, the competitions at the moment, we've got Bad Santa for another few days.
That's an especially cool bundle.
That ends on Monday, I think, on Monday the... Is it Monday the 5th? I think?
It is indeed Monday the 5th.
Monday the 5th, it ends on there. And on Monday the 5th, we're starting another competition up. You're going to love this.
Well, off we go.
We're giving away DVDs of a film we never got to review because of, I believe, your wedding, actually. When you went away...
in August. Which film was it?
What big film did we miss because of your wedding? We missed Kevin Spacey being a cat. So if you want to get to see 9 Lives, all you need to do is pop on.
Can I have a copy as a belated wedding gift, please?
I will physically go out and buy you one right now and put it in. Congratulations on your nuptials packaging.
Thank you.
But
you're a true pal.
Yeah, so pop on anytime on screenfilm.com, anytime from Monday the 5th, and have your chance to win.
With the latest film news and reviews. This is Offscreen, the on-screen radio show.
And we're back. So, should we tread some water now?
Let's tread some water.
Well, funnily enough, actually, if you didn't like Moana, that would be a really fitting way to review it.
I've not heard anyone that doesn't like Moana.
Now, to be fair, I don't think it's amazing, but I did like it.
Well, tell me more.
Okay, so Moana...
Tell me more. Did he have a car?
It is the 965th film from Disney, and which I'm sure if you looked into it, it's probably actually the case. It's in the hundreds.
I'm going to look into it. Obviously, we're not talking about just the classics.
The problem is, if you ever look into Disney, there is a list of things that includes their obscure live-action cartoon hybrids from the 50s.
They're incredible.
And then there's the question of whether or not you include Song of the South now, or if we've revisionized it from history.
Well, Donald Trump is going to be president, so we'll probably bring it back. It's probably going to be a remake.
If Donald Trump is president, can we not declassify Song of the South now and have it back in on DVD and Blu-ray? Because it was never released for that exact reason. It was always deemed too racist to be allowed to be released in.
Well, apparently
the 1990s.
Nothing can be too racist now.
Apparently not. No. Whatever. 954th film from Disney. This one stars The Rock. Would you believe? Which is how it's really being marketed. Disney does The Rock, and you've got a young princess named Moana. She's a Polynesian chieftain's daughter, and they live on a sort of isolationist kind of island community. And one day, the island falls victim to an ancient sea curse, which starts to deprive them of their fish sauce and rot all their coconuts. So basically, the island is going to starve to death unless Moana breaks the long-standing rule that you're not allowed to sail out past the reef. And she does exactly that, along with her loyal chicken sidekick, Hey, who weirdly is voiced by Alan Tudyk of all people, because hey Disney, or hey
of course,
Disney.
Yeah. He's kind of like the new John Ratzenberg, isn't he?
He is, isn't he? And then she sets off to track down the mischievous demigod known as Maui, who's voiced by the Rock and Dwayne Johnson, who's voiced by Dwayne Johnson, who you've seen on every poster for this, and force him to return an ancient sea heart jewel thing to the place from where he stole it and set the curse right. And yeah, here's a clip.
Maui, shapeshifter, demigod of the wind and sea, I am Moana.
Hero of men.
What?
It's actually Maui, shapeshifter, demigod of the wind and sea, hero of men. I interrupted from the top. Hero of men. Go.
I am
Sorry. And women. Men and women. Both. All. Not a guy-girl thing. Maui is the hero to all. You're doing great.
What? No. I'm here
Oh,
to...
of course. Yes. Now he always has time for his fans. When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting. I know, not every day you get a chance to meet your hero.
You are not my hero, and I'm not here so you can sign my oar.
So here is the issue with Moana, which is we've entered this new renaissance of Disney, right? So we post Tangled. Really, you can argue that it started with Tangled.
I would argue that it started with Princess and the Frog, but
Princess never really. Okay.
Yeah. Definitely.
It was kind of quietly received when it opened, but fair enough. I'll go with that. I'll go with Princess and the Frog. And if we start from there, there have been some genuine classics, like all-time Disney classics. Like even Big Hero 6, you can argue, falls into the pantheon of an all-time Disney classic. And you're rolling your eyes at me like, what?
That wasn't a full eye roll. That was more that I looked to the side.
Okay, fair enough. The problem with this one is that this is not quite up to the level of a Disney classic. It's a very enjoyable, visually stunning, engaging Disney animated family romp. It's just, there's nothing classical about it. To put it into context, if Frozen is Beauty and the Beast, this is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So, I'm not saying The Hunchback of Notre Dame is bad. I enjoyed the film very much.
I enjoy it more than Frozen.
No, I'm not saying you enjoy... I'm saying, do you enjoy Hunchback more than Beauty and the Beast, is the question. No.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah, exactly. See, it's that equation.
But I would never equate Beauty and the Beast to Frozen. That's
no, I'm talking in terms of the quality barrier.
Right.
Okay. Never mind. Neither here nor there.
Your analogy didn't work, man. Let it go.
How dare you destroy my analogy? I thought you were accusing me of destroying my algae then. I was going to say, what?
Your algae?
Algae?
No.
Yeah, no. There is shrubbery in the movie. That helps. Anyway, so your character actors, they bring some flair to it all. You've got Dwayne Johnson. You've got, I can never pronounce her first name, Orly Carvalho, I think her name is, as Moana. They effectively have to carry this film as a sort of two-hander, and they've got some spark, they've got some wit, and they've got some life in it, and there's a lot of heart there. And the relationship works, and the relationship does carry it. The problem is that so much of it is set on the open water that it does feel like it drags unnecessarily at times because it's not really much of a change of scenery for a lot of it. They've also got this very strange Deus Ex Machina built into the plot, whereby Moana, having this sea stone thing that she has, the MacGuffin of the plot, has the ability to basically interact with water. Water can physically help her with things. And it does feel like it robs the film of any real consequence or threat or suspense as a result, because you know this character can get out of it in a second with just this.
It's the Lord of the Rings Eagles.
It is. It's the Lord of the Rings Eagles. There's a reason those eagles are held for the very, very end, but yeah, same thing here. And they stop just short of giving her Frozen-style control of the water, which is a really, really good thing, because the entire third act would be inert in an instant. One clever thing I do have to credit it for is they have given Dwayne Johnson's Maui this sort of Central Intelligence style ambiguity. So you never quite know. For the longest amount of time, you don't quite know what his motivations are, because they play it kind of Loki-esque. If you remember how Loki used to be when Marvel first started, is he evil? I can't quite tell.
Yeah. Who does he work for?
Yeah, there was that whole thing going on, and Dwayne Johnson plays it perfectly in the way that he did in Central Intelligence. So, as I say, you will enjoy it, and you'll love the music, and this, unlike Frozen, does at least think to include a big third act musical number. Because,
well, that's good.
Yeah, because Frozen really dropped the ball on that one, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like, Frozen got to, hey, here's a big musical number in the first act. Second act, here's Let It Go.
And it's got a villain as well, which Frozen kind of didn't really
Well, actually,
have,
this has two villains.
Oh.
But what one is a sort of incidental guest villain, as I like to call it. You know, in Disney films, you always get these guest villains.
Yeah.
You get one about halfway through this movie, you'll never guess who provides the voice.
Jermaine Clement.
It is Jermaine Clement. You looked it up on IMDb, didn't you?
I did not. He's just my answer for everything. He's the new Kavon Wallace.
He's the new Kavon Wallace. Fair enough. As I say, your kids will like it, you'll like it, but I don't think it's going to get put on as often as, for instance, Tangled or Zootopia. I think when it comes to the DVD shelf in years to come, this is going to be one of the less rewatched, I think.
I don't know. I feel like in the extras we need to have a talk.
We'll debate. We'll debate in the extras.
We'll debate the Disney conundrum.
Okay, give me some news real quick then.
I've got some animated feature news.
Okay, go on.
Let's tie it in with Moana. Okay, so the annual Annie Awards, which is essentially like a
animation Oscars.
It's the animation Oscars, is what it is. This is here are the films that are pretty much going to be nominated for the best animated feature Oscar. They have detailed who's up for their best animated feature award.
Okay, anyone of note?
I'm going to let you guess. I'm going to let you guess who the five films are.
Okay, Kubo and the Two Strings.
Bingo.
Zootopia.
Yep.
Trying to think what else now. Any chance of Ethel and Ernest?
Sadly not.
Oh, no.
Sadly not.
Okay.
Do you want me to tell you?
You go on. What have I got?
Okay. Finding Dory.
Finding Dory. Fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Finding Dory, Kubo, Moana.
Moana. Okay.
Zootopia. What is that fifth one?
It's not going to be a Secret Life of Pets, is it?
No.
No, what is it?
Kung Fu Panda 3.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Over Secret Life of Pets?
Yes.
I'm gobsmacked.
I enjoyed it more than Secret Life of Pets. Because it's not just Toy Story for dogs.
Okay, fair enough. And yes, we did see the Honest trailer this week.
Should we have the box office top 10?
Let's have the box office top 10 for this week.
Number 10.
Patterson.
Which I don't know if you've had the chance to enjoy this yet. We did have a screening link, I believe, for this one, but
I've not seen it as of yet.
This is Adam Driver and Jim Jarmusch, so you can kind of guess the tone off that description alone.
It's very Jarmuschian.
Very Jarmuschian. It is a very ponderous, navel-gazing type of film. Adam Driver, who plays the bus driver, Patterson, in the movie Patterson.
Who lives in the town.
Which is set in Patterson. Adam Driver's terrific in it. I liked him very much. I also quite like Barry Shabaka Henley in it. Jarmusch, usual great direction. Stylistic flair of using his actual poetry as a visual representation on screen. Thought that was quite well used. I couldn't quite find my place within it. That was my problem. I couldn't quite adjust to the film. There were things about it I liked to say, but I did find it quite a distancing affair because I couldn't quite get involved with it. It left me cold.
Number 9.
Dear Zindagi.
Which is a Bollywood film, and therefore we've not been press shown it, and therefore we haven't seen it, and therefore we can't really talk about it.
Number 8.
Andre Rieu's Christmas Concert 2016. One for the Nans.
Which wasn't press shown, and therefore we can't talk about it, and therefore we can't.
Number 7.
Doctor Strange, which we did see.
Which,
and we like.
You know, the annoying part is that we can't find a button that's Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
I know, we're probably not going to have that until it's out on Blu-ray. And by that point, it's obviously not going to be in the top 10 anymore.
I have scoured the internet for that clip.
There's got to be some other button from just something else that'll be relevant.
If you go on YouTube, there are loads of cam jobs. There are cam jobs of it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But there are no... And the audio is terrible on them. So you can't find a soundbite of Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Did you see the Black Friday memes, by the way? Because there were about 1 billion.
I did not know.
There were so many. And they're just like shots of Doctor Strange holding a plasma TV with Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
That's great.
And there's a lot of that going around. But that's the thing. Doctor Strange I liked from it. In fact, Doctor Strange has an almost brilliant comparison point with Moana in a strange way, which is Doctor Strange is great on its own terms, but in the pantheon of its wider brand, it's not quite... It doesn't quite...
I take umbrage with that. I take umbrage with comparing a film just because it's from a studio that has made classic films. Because if you do that, then you'll get into this infinite bloody loop, like Doctor Strange, of comparing every Warner's film to every Warner's film to every Fox film to every Fox film.
I do compare every Warner's film to every Warner's film.
Let's go to the next one for you, busting embolism.
Fine, you know what? We'll move on.
Number 6.
A United Kingdom.
Ooh, I had to go and see this, obviously, at a public show on Friday.
Yeah, so give us quite a brief review about it.
Right, very brief review. Because this is the story of Suretse... what's his name? Suretse Karma.
It's a really interesting story.
Really interesting. I didn't know it. I did not know the story. And his forced separation from his wife, Ruth Williams, when he's the would-be inherent king of Botswana, really, marries, the common woman. Rosamund Pike is the common woman. I mean, someone cast that. I mean, really. Who do you want to be the common woman? Let's get the original Kensington.
She looks like royalty.
She does, doesn't she? But I feel like if they ever redo the Grace Kelly movie...
that's your gal.
Yeah, that's your girl right there. Like, let's forget the other one happened. Who played it in that one? I can't remember now. Oh, it was...
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman. Yeah, let's redo that, but do it better and get, Rosamund Pike in there. But... neither here nor there. Very stirring, very well written. Biggest problem with it is it does feel like a televised sort of retread. It feels like every one of these classical movies does, which is to say, here's a true story and all the really big plot action stuff is going to happen in the final 10 minutes. You've got a great pair of central performances from David Oyelowo and Rosamund Pike. You've got a brilliantly sleazy turn from not only Jack Davenport, whom I have missed on screen. I have missed him.
As a fight. It was good when he showed up in Kingsman for a split second.
For a very, very brief... and he was great in that scene as well. Could you not watch the movie about that?
Well, just his character.
Just his character.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, I would like that.
I get on board.
But, not only Jack Davenport, but also Tom Felton. who manages to not annoy me for the first time in a while. I mean, I think there was this...
And you've been watching The Flash as
I've been watching The Flash. He doesn't quite annoy me in The Flash.
I like him in The Flash.
Except for certain irritations involving plot movements, but no,
that's not his fault. He is but an actor.
He is but an actor. And then, of course, you've got the weirdest bit of casting you've ever seen in a film directed by someone like Amar Asante.
What's that?
Which is, who do you think they cast to play Rosamund Pike's dad?
Tom Wilkinson.
It should be, right? That's who you would
that
get.
Is good casting.
Do you know who they actually got?
Forrest Whitaker.
I swear to God, I'm not making this up. Nicholas Lyndhurst.
Really?
Really? Rodney Trotter.
That must be the highest profile job he has had for about 20 years.
Isn't it? Yeah. Rodney Trotter's highest profile gig in decades. But I would recommend seeing it if you have an interest in the history of it. Yeah. If you don't know the history of it, you can learn something. Actually, it's quite a surprisingly revelatory film. The problem is, if it is a story of which you're kind of aware, it's not really going to. I don't think it'll surprise you very much. There's some great performances in there, but this is quite clearly a film that's going to film 4 very quickly. This is 6 months is on film 4, and from the director of Belle, you frankly kind of expect more.
With the latest film news and reviews, this is Offscreen.
My wingman anytime.
And we're back. So where shall we go next, Mr. Elm?
Let's go to the Edge of 17.
To the Edge of 17. I've been looking forward to this.
Do you know what? So have I.
So have I.
Really have.
Did I just say so have I in reply to your so have I? Never mind. Okay.
That's what the next 10 minutes is going to be. It's just as both going, so have I. So have I.
So have I. So, right. So this is the feature film directorial debut of writer Kelly Fremon Craig, who brought us. Do you remember that Alexis Bledel comedy, Post Grad?
Yeah, vaguely.
Do you vaguely remember it? Basically, the one where Rory Gilmore grew up was how most of us remember it.
Yeah, before the Gilmore Girls
before Rory Gilmore actually grew up and carried on as Rory Gilmore. So she wrote that, and that's like her only gig before this. So what you've got here is a teen dramedy for girls, written by a girl and directed by a girl. So, actually, this is one of those rare girl teen dramedies. Because I don't know if you've noticed, that is a really dwindling market now. Like, we are rapidly running low. It seems to be all aimed at tweens now. Like, even when Jane Levy had a go a few years back, she went into the tween category. Don't know why, but still.
There is definitely a difference.
There is definitely a gap. Yeah. So what you get instead is something that's pitching itself as slotting into that one slightly more serious space next to Mean Girls and The To-Do List and The Duff.
I knew you were going to say The Duff.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I love The Duff.
Just from the trailer. As do I.
Yeah,
I love The Duff. Really enjoy the film.
Right, so what you've got is you've got a 16-year-old girl named Nadine. She was played by Hayley Steinfeld. She's got a loyal best friend who one day at a party hooks up with her brother. So the best friend hooks up with her brother, and as such, she basically loses the best friend through sort of forced social separation, as it were, because the brother can't really be hanging around the sister. He's a jock, she's an outcasty nerd, but their father died years earlier, and she's become sort of a recluse and sort of an outsider as a result of it. And meanwhile, all this, you have the teacher who's trying to get through to her, played by Woody Harrelson, who acts like he hates her, but clearly he really doesn't. And then you've got the struggling mum, who's played by Keira Sedgwick, who's really just trying to keep things afloat. And then you've got the would-be suitor, who's kind of the friend-zoned guy, who so clearly is in love with her, but, can't really break through that friend barrier. And, well, here's a clip.
You don't know anything, Nadine. I'm sorry, it's gonna happen. No, I'm sorry, it's not gonna happen. Because your brother just asked me to be his girlfriend into prom in May. Yeah, he did. He just asked me that. You can't can't have both. It's me or him. Pick. No, I'm not gonna pick. It's me or him. Do you want him? Nadine, or do you want me? This isn't a choice. Why can't you just say me? No, him or me now? No, I'm not gonna pick. You know what? Then we're done. We're done. Fine.
Hayley Steinfeld there, and, well, here's a shocker for you. It turns out Hayley Steinfeld is an actual movie star. There is an actual movie star quality to Hayley Steinfeld. Now, she's always been on the cusp of becoming this massive breakout actress, and you look at when she was a kid, and she was in things like True Grit, and she's
nominated for an Oscar.
She was. It was like one of her first big roles. And then she's turned up in things through the years, like Ender's Game, and she always makes a great impression. Here is the star role. This is the Hayley Steinfeld movie, and strap yourselves in because it's a belter. What you have here is an out-and-out instant classic of its own little weird subdued subgenre. This subgenre that we're effectively killing off by not making them anymore. it's alive.
Although when we do really, really good entries like The Duff, it
stands out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, Haley Steinfeld, absolute star here. Woody Harrelson tries to steal every scene he's in by basically playing Woody Harrelson in that way that he does also well. And you know what? Haley Steinfeld's not having any of it. She rolls with the punches, she takes it all in, and she absolutely delivers. You've got a film which manages to make you laugh, make you cry, doesn't patronise, doesn't condescend. It will genuinely have you gripped. And here's the strange part: when you sit and look at it all, actually, there isn't that much story going on here. Like, the plot I've just described to you, that's actually the entirety of the plot. And yet, I loved this film. I thought it was great. I laughed, and I was moved, and I had a great soundtrack, which I actually recognised some songs for a change. So I'm not.
So it was all pre-1975 or something.
All pre-75, yeah. So I'm not that past it yet. I did actually recognise a song or two here and there. I did really, really enjoy it. I cannot recommend. You should need to run out and see this film if you have an interest in Mean Girls, To the To-Do List, The Duff. If you like those three films, if any of them are on your watch when you need cheering up DVD list, then you need to get this in your life right now.
Do you know who the producer is on this?
I did, but go on.
James L. Brooks.
It is, yes, it is James L. Brooks, yeah.
It makes sense when you think about it.
There's another one, didn't Al... Oh, that was it. I was looking the other day. Al Jean was involved in a TV show the other day. I never knew about it. I'll try and remember what it was. But yeah, James L. Brooks, I did know that. And I was like, okay, kind of makes sense, because it's a really warm, fluffy film. Kelly from On Craig, really stellar job on here. And
this is the first time as a director.
This is the first time as a director. For a debut, this thing's astonishing. For a dramedy debut, astonishing thing. And given what a certain Disney exec said about female filmmakers this past week, I think they should snap her up as a potential Captain Marvel candidate, I would suggest. Because
for the Marvel side, not the Star Wars.
For the Marvel side, I think she would be actually a serious contender. I would consider her.
Interesting.
I would genuinely consider it. So, give me some news then before we finish the top 10.
I've got some crazy news.
Crazy news. I like crazy news. Go on.
There is a parallel universe where I want to live in, where Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home featured Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I did know that.
Well, this is news just to me and to other people.
Do you not know every single Star Trek movie has, at one stage in its development, had a massive star attached, and that star has nearly always dropped out?
Tell me some of the stars. Let's flip reverse.
Sean Connery was going to be Sybok in Star Trek V: The Final Frontier.
So Sybok is Spock's half-brother.
Spock's half-brother, yeah. Trying to think who else. It was Eddie Murphy. Was going to be...
Yeah. He was going to be playing an astrophysicist, and then dropped out because something went more political, which the co-writer said.
He was going to be an astrophysicist who believed in aliens and abductions, who believed he'd been abducted by aliens, and that's what Kirk and Spock were.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else there was now. Star Trek First Contact nearly had someone big in it. I can't remember who it was. No, I pass. Do you know what? They've all escaped me. There is a list, and I have them somewhere.
That is something to dig out.
I will dig that out for you next week.
That could be an interesting talk for next week.
I will find out next week for you, because there's... Oh, that was it. They wanted Tom Hanks to be Zephram Cochrane in First Contact. That was the
Cochrane,
one.
Is that's the guy that...
The guy that invents warp drive.
Who is James Cromwell.
Which is 20 years old this last week, First Contact.
Good Lord, is it really?
Yeah, which means 20... It was this last week, yeah.
Let's finish off the top 10 before I get even more depressed.
There you go.
Number 5.
Arrival.
Which I loved. We had a thing of mock movie posters earlier where they put honest titles on it, and it said Contact but good. And you know what? Hard to disagree. It's Contact meets Sphere, and there's a lot of cerebral stuff in there. It's very... you could describe it as dry. You could describe it as quite dry science fiction, but there is a humanity to it that shines through. I think they've developed it well. I think they've taken what's effectively a 40-page short story and really expanded it to something just brilliant in its own right. I think there's a great screenplay to it. There is a wonderful direction by Denis Villeneuve, who is really asserting himself as someone that we should all be paying attention to now.
Yeah, I can't wait for Blade Runner 2049 now.
His calibre at this stage, it has, in my opinion, exceeded Ridley Scott in terms of just sheer mythical awesomeness. And considering he's now onto his Blade Runner movie, I actually think he has turned out better and more consistent work than Ridley Scott did when he did his Blade Runner.
Number 4.
Bad Santa 2. So this is one of the big Christmas films of the year. Yep, get to the season.
It left me cold, I got to be honest. I did laugh, but it's a really thin sort of retread of the same basic formula of the first movie. We're swapping out the mall for a charity this time. And
it's pretty rare that a long-delayed sequel comes out and is good.
Well, yeah, it's true. And I mean, Billy Bob's great in it. Billy Bob Thornton's great in it. And Tony Cox, it's just nice to see him and Tony Cox back at the sniping. And Kathy Bates absolutely steals the show. Got to give her that. But you all come away from it, you think, well, they clearly missed what it was we liked about Bad Santa, which was that it had heart behind some of the nastiest humour you've ever heard. It was foul-mouthed, but it was foul-mouthed with a glint in its eye. And the glint's gone here. The heart and soul sort of been stripped away. And what you've got is very much a studio job. This is the indie band that's then, gotten signed by the big studio and released the second, far less successful album. That's what this is in a nutshell.
Number 3.
What he said.
What he said, Trolls. So, you've not seen Trolls, have you? Right, so Trolls, just Timberlake and Kendrick. I liked it, I didn't expect to. It wore me down quite quickly because it is just uncompromisingly
It's like a sugar
cheap.
rush, isn't it?
It is. It is like basically strapping yourself into a cinema chair and being injected with sherbet.
Is it like having Haribo Tankrastics melted down and then injected straight into your eyes?
Yes, that's exactly what it's like. That's exactly how I would describe it, in fact. I would actually, funnily enough, there was a point in the film in which I sat down and thought, I really wish I was eating candy floss while I was watching this. Because that's what it looks like. It looks. Remember the Rainbow World from Wreck-It Ralph? The Rainbow Racing World?
Yeah.
Just imagine that.
Penelope von Schweetz.
Yeah, imagine what it would be like to live there and then crystallise it down to an hour and a half and you've basically got Trolls.
Number 2.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith's Divorce.
Allied. Which I liked the first half of. First half's great. Can't complain about the first half. First half's terrific.
Watch that twice. Got a great film.
Watch that twice. You'll have a great time. But when it becomes the Brad Pitt show and Marianne Cotillard is sidelined and given a few fleeting things to do, and she's great and all, but there's not enough of her, considering that she's a very integral part of the film, you basically got a kind of forgettable thriller that should be anything but, given everyone involved, that ultimately ends on a note of making you wonder, hang on, he actually really didn't do that much in the name of sort of, uncovering his wife, but never mind.
Number 1.
That wizarding film.
That wizarding thing. J.K. Rowling and How to Make a Billion. Which, I liked. I mean, I liked for the most part.
Well.
And it's fine, isn't it? It's a go around the Harry Potter world again. And this is the thing with it.
It's definitely like Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, isn't it? Like, no one claims that is my favourite.
No. I think this is gonna be remembered the same way. Yeah. Same. It's where you start. I think as a launching platform, it's pretty good. It's not really original in its own right, but as we say, it's a franchise launcher. We're not expecting this to reinvent the wheel. We don't expect to begin with Azkaban. You begin with Philosopher's Stone, and that's very much where you are, albeit Philosopher's Stone in this case is basically Goosebumps with Doctor Who running around. And then there's Dan Fogel in there as well, and Catherine Waterston, and Colin Farrell, who's just got the most frightening haircut you've seen in years.
Yeah, it's also the best he's been since In Bruges.
Yeah, I have missed Colin Farrell.
Oh, actually, no, The Lobster.
The Lobster. Do you know I've never seen The Lobster?
You need to watch it because it may feature on your top list of.
I definitely need to.
Get a watch it.
Well, on which note, we cue the music.
With the latest film news and reviews, this is Offscreen, the on-screen radio show.
And we're back and dancing. So, some bit quick news then, and we'll have our final review of the week.
A little bit, and I think this is some pretty important news.
What you got for me?
Netflix.
Yeah.
Our favourite streaming service. We talk about often on the show.
Fairly. Comes up once or twice.
They finally caught up with Amazon Prime, All4, and BBC iPlayer.
Go on.
And you can now download and watch films offline.
Oh, thank God, finally.
So that is going to make your commute to London every week so much sweeter.
Oh, God, yes.
So much better, yeah. That's pretty good.
That is awesome, isn't it?
That's good news.
Really good. Yeah, because you see a lot of people on the tube and everything watching like Luther on iPlayer, and because they've just had to download it and offline it. Yeah, that's really big news. So you just, presumably there's an update to the app. You just
so if you want to watch The Crown next week when you're going down to see whatever films you see,
I did read somewhere that not all titles are available yet. It's something they're introducing incrementally.
Right.
This is something I read.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know. Presumably the Netflix originals will be the first to get the treatment. But
yeah,
that's a given.
I'm sure it is a given. Yeah.
I'm sure Gilmore Girls: A Year in the Life is available for offline viewing,
which I watched in a complete block.
Did you love?
In one night, I did love. But there were some people that didn't love, and I think they just need to get over themselves. It's a show, so far. But it's just nice to see those characters again. It's like having a big hug, essentially. Right, tell me about Bleed for this, because I understand this is not like a big hug.
No, not at all. Bleed for This is the true story of Vinny Pazienza, who's a boxer who was effectively crippled for a while. He got into a car accident, and he faced the risk of actually severing his spine. So he had to have his head wired into a set position. He wasn't allowed to move his neck. And this went on for a long time. Basically, he was forced out of the game. He wasn't he wasn't kind of looking forward to the idea of giving up his boxing career, so he stages a comeback, as it were, getting his coach, who's in this case played by Aaron Eckhart, to secretly train him in order to actually stage his comeback and basically find someone who will actually face him, because nobody wanted to hit him for the risk of actually paralysing, killing him, or basically snapping his neck in the ring. So here is Miles Teller in Bleed for This.
We're not done here, Vinny.
We're not?
No. We just need to, figure out what's next for you. The whole world outside the ring.
Kev. I'm getting pretty sick of people talking about me like I'm dead. Like I died in that car wreck. Like it's just over for me. Kev, I'm gonna fight again.
No, you ain't, Vinny. That's what everybody here knows. They're afraid to say it to your face. I'm not gonna fight again. It's over.
You know when you're at uni and you do a film course, and there's always that one film that someone makes where there's mobsters, and basically you've got a bunch of English guys putting on the worst kind of Italian-American accents you can think of.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Imagine that's this as a film, basically. It feels like it's been built from the ground up as a very cynical attempt to win an Oscar, to snag someone involved in an Oscar, presumably Miles Teller. Now, I'm not going to deny for 1 second that Miles Teller should have at least earned a nomination for Whiplash, which I still, to this day, believe is the finest film and finest performance of his career.
Side note, even though you said that he should have been played by Dane DeHaan.
Even though I still believe he should have been played by the original choice, Dane DeHaan. What you've got here is a case of, let's take the Oscar bag of tricks, shake it up and apply it to ourselves, but let's multiply it. It's like a studio exec took a look at $1 Million Baby and went, I'll do $1 Billion Baby. And that's what...
Dun, dun, dun.
Exactly like that. You've got Ben Younger, who's the writer who brought us Boiler Room, which is a film I absolutely adore. With Vin Diesel and Ben Affleck and Giovanni Ribisi. And he has come up with some absolutely appalling dialogue here. It feels at times like it's bordering on parody. Because you've got Miles Teller, who's really phoning it in with the worst Italian-American accent you've heard this side of Jack O'Connell in Unbroken, with the dodgy pencil stash and the weird fake nose, and he's not skipped leg day, so he's buffed up, and that's what he thinks his performance is all about. Aaron Eckhart, meanwhile, has gone full monster, where he's done the whole prosthetic makeup effects, and he's got sort of shaved slightly head on the head, so he looks like he's balding, and he's got the silly accent as well. And you've got Kieran Hines, who's got a couple of prosthetic bits on there, and he's doing a silly accent as well. And then Ted Levine turns up, and you don't know it's him for the longest time because he's basically unrecognisable. And you come away from it thinking, good Lord, this is daft. It really is daft. It makes Here Comes the Boom look like Raging Bull at times. It's one of these films that's been directed by a man who thinks that, well, he seems to have aimed his films at people who've never seen a film before. His attempt to visually build suspense is outright just... verges on the satirical. You kind of hope it's a work of satire. Like, he's actually satirising the concept of suspense and drama, because everything is telegraphed. You can see him, he phones in his punches. He literally does. And it just doesn't work. Nothing about it works. You can predict every stage of it. The minute he gets into his accent, like, okay, I know where this is going now, and I know the minute you see this car pulling away from it, you know where that's going now, and the minute everything in it is just dialed in, and you come away from it all, and you just feel like you've wasted about an hour and 50 of your life. You think, what the hell is this? By Miles Teller's own low standard, in my estimation, this is actually verging on a new low. Although, given credit where it's due, he manages to be inadvertently funnier than he actually was intentionally in any of his prior comedic work.
What was that one I tried to watch recently?
Was it 21 and Over?
No, but I have seen that. It was that awkward moment.
Oh, that awkward moment.
I got 9 minutes in.
Yeah? Was it the awkward moment where you realised, good Lord, this sucks?
Yeah.
So, and Miles Teller sucked.
I thought I could be doing
yeah.
anything else.
But no, didn't like it at all. And of course, well, we know what film of the week is. I think it's plainly obvious.
I thought it was just going to be Believe for this. I thought you were just going to be like, Miles Teller, automatic win.
No, film of the week, Edge of 17. Get yourself out there, get this scene. Do it now, do it. Just spend your weekend watching this film. If you can find 2 hours, go and see it.
I like it just because it's named after a song by Stevie Nicks.
Is it? So. I did not know that.
Yeah. I'm surprised that song is not in the soundtrack.
I don't know much. It might well be. I think it might be a bit of an oldie given the sort of soundtrack that it has. But next week we've got some interesting things. We've got...
What we got?
Right, so Office Christmas Party, that's next week.
I feel like that's not been marketed very well.
No, it's not been marketed really at all.
No.
TJ Miller, Jennifer Aniston, Jason Bateman, Tim Meadows, Kate McKinnon, Gillian Bell. Gillian Bell?
Yep.
Gillian Bell.
Yeah.
So that's just got a pretty decent.
It's nice when we actually decide to make a Christmas film.
It is, isn't it? I watched The Night Before again the other day. I'll talk about that in a minute. We've got Birth of a Nation next week. So I know it's finally here.
With like zero fanfare.
Zero fanfare and next to no marketing in the UK, strangely.
That's mad.
We have a documentary I've seen. I'm just going to tell you straight off the bat that it's great, called Life Animated. Which is
you have told me before.
Yep,
it's great.
Which reduced me to a blubbering shell of a man. We've got The Pass.
That's not happened since Bleed for This.
Exactly. We've got The Pass, starring Russell Tovey, which is a Warner Bros. Drama about a pair of footballing best friends. We've got Christopher Lloyd in I Am Not a Serial Killer next week. I don't know if you're aware of that one at all. That's been a bit of a...
No, it's not really on my radar.
And, of course, we've got The Black Hen covering the foreign film side of it as well. So it's some decent stuff out.
Very diverse group.
Very diverse group of films. So, yeah, we've got all those to come next week, then. In the meanwhile, this has been a Candy Store production for On Screen. I've been Van Connor.
I've been, as always, Case Allen.
And we'll be back next week.
Just show me the way to get out of here, and I'll be on my way.
You've been listening to Off Screen. For more news and reviews, visit onscreenfilm.com.
Podcast extras then, Mr. Allen. So where shall we begin this? Because we've got 2 films to review.
We have, and we got quite a bit of news.
Quite a bit of news. So lay some news on me then.
Okay, well, I will be honest. Some of the news that I have, it's more things that I'm finding vaguely interesting.
Well,
rather than being quantifiable pieces of news.
Well, it's good for you then that you have an outlet in which to express your interest.
This here podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
There we are. So, Martin Scorsese, he's got a film coming out called Silence, which he's been trying to get made for 25, 30 years.
I'm seeing it on the 19th.
The 19th? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really that soon?
Yeah, the actual evening multimedia thing is before that.
Oh, I really wish that I could come to that. I really want to see it. But yeah, that comes out the beginning of January, I want to say.
The beginning of January?
Yeah, I think it comes out here.
So prime in the middle of like Oscar season then.
Yeah. Who'd have thunk it, exactly. It's actually going to be having, not a premiere, it's going to have a special screening in the Vatican City.
Yes, I heard this somewhere.
And it's going to be having an audience with the Pope.
Wow.
Which is just, I want to be a fly on the wall.
Hang on, that means that Andrew Garfield, a man not good enough to be Spider-Man, is allowed to meet the Pope.
He is, yeah.
How weird is that?
400 Jesuit priests, because of course he's playing a Jesuit priest.
Yes, of course he is, yeah.
Yeah, but did you see the first trailer?
I did see the first trailer. Wow.
It was great.
I'm looking forward to it because it's Scorsese, but then I do think in the background mind, come done. We've been here before.
Yeah, just watch yourself now.
Simmer down, buddy.
Watch yourself.
Simmer down.
Okay, moving on as well. I feel like we need to have a button where it's the world's smallest violin being played by the world's smallest and saddest violin player for whenever we have some news about Jeremy Renner.
The Jeremy Renner. I do feel like that as well. Why this time?
Because producer Frank Marshall...
he's got Jason Bourne to promote at the moment because it's on home release.
It's on home release. Yeah. He's gone on record and said that a 6th Jason Bourne film is indeed likely. It's probably going to happen. It made decent bank.
It did. It made, is it about 420 million it made?
Enough to justify a 6th.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's going to be no return for Jeremy Renner.
Oh.
To the surprise of nobody at all.
Sorry, Jezza. It's all over, mate. It's just not happening.
It sucks. I do like him. I like him. It's just... yeah.
I feel like if Jeremy Renner's mum announced tomorrow that she was having another kid, he'd be like, no, this isn't happening at home as well now. No. But, yeah.
Matthew McConaughey's got a new job.
Is this the one where he's turning up at college campuses and driving around the students?
Yeah. So Matthew McConaughey is part of this project called the Sure Walk Project, which sounds very, very cool.
Yeah.
It's ensuring that students get back safely from the campus back to their student dorms or wherever they are living. And he's part of it. So you might be like out in town or something, and then call for lift, and there you are. Matthew McConaughey shows up in a golf buggy.
Can I tell you, because I hadn't read the story, so I didn't know any of that, but I'll tell you how I did know of the existence of this story.
How did you know?
A website I follow on Facebook called Bro Bible gives you an idea of the content of this site. It's mostly women in swimsuits and memes. And NFL stories.
Sometimes all three.
Sometimes all three in the same go. But they actually posted a picture of Matthew McConaughey doing this with the caption, the headline, sorry.
Was it?
And it was, Bro King McConaughey shows up at college campuses to drive students around, cuz.
Just cuz.
Bro
King of the bros.
Bro King McConaughey.
That's his new name.
I love that.
It's no longer Oscar winner.
It's Bro King.
Bro King. That picture is fantastic because he's got like one hand on the wheel, one hand by his side.
He looks so amused.
It's like those Lincoln adverts.
Yes.
When he was like, he had one hand and he was like, it was like a small circle he was making with his thumb.
Yeah, another ones.
Time is a flat circle.
Oh, God. Wasn't that was on the height of the reconnaissance as well, wasn't it?
It was indeed, yeah. And now I feel like we're kind of post...
We're post-reconnaissance.
But we just settled into him being just good.
Yeah, we're now in Free State of Jones territory, and how did that get no recognition whatsoever? I liked it.
I liked it, but it's a crowded field.
It is, I suppose.
I'm going to get to it after we do some films, but I tell you what, here's a bit of a precursor awards news. So, the United States National Board of Review, they have a film of the year.
Isn't this the Library of Congress editions? The National Film Registry, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes.
There's a documentary about it on Netflix.
Oh, it's really?
Did you not know that?
I didn't know.
There is a documentary about the National Film Registry on Netflix because I was shocked to find this out. Zoe Deschanel's father is involved with it.
Yeah, Caleb. He is a cinematographer.
Yes, he is actively involved with it. But it was a documentary that took me through why certain films get chosen, what films have been chosen, and I forget the name of it. But it is on our Netflix.
I'm going to check it out. I'm going to have a look. But the US National Board of Review, their film of the year, we've not had it yet. We're getting it. Height of Oscar season. Manchester by the Sea.
Yes, I have heard
a lot of buzz.
Yeah, I got an email about a screening of that earlier.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see that.
If you want to go to London next Thursday night, you're welcome, because they'll show it you.
Is it on London next Thursday?
They're showing it in London next Thursday night. They've just invited me.
Can I justify it?
I knew nothing of this beyond it starred Michelle Williams and it was getting a lot of hype.
And Casey Affleck.
Well, I didn't know that. I saw the trailer the other day before United Kingdom. I was like, oh, that's Manchester Bus. Actually looks quite good. Yeah, I could see why people might love that. Yeah.
It's been getting a lot of raves, definitely. It's do you kind of know the story, the basic premise?
Well, I watched the trailer, so I have the general gist.
You got the gist of it.
Yeah, I have the gist.
But you got the
it's
gist.
Casey Affleck doing some Afflecking better than his brother does, but without half the recognition. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And once upon a time it was going to be starring and also directed by Matt Damon.
Oh, okay. So there's a sort of synergy in there.
They're all friends, aren't they?
Yeah. They all buds.
Okay, tell me about Eat That Question.
Eat That Question. Right, okay, so this is a documentary about Frank Zappa. So officially, its full title is Eat That Question, Frank Zappa in his own words. So, you know Frank Zappa, obviously. He is kind of the anarchic musician of, not so much our age, really, of the last 50 years. And we have a documentary that takes us from his sort of inception, his origin story, as it were, through to his very end. And it chronicles every aspect of his life that you can imagine. It is a shockingly thorough documentary. It doesn't rely on talking heads. It relies entirely on him. And it is all footage and interviews recorded with Frank Zappa over the years. And I'll tell you what, we've got a clip.
Is commercial success important to you other than making enough money to do what you want to do?
Well, commercial success represents two things. One, it represents dollars and cents, and two, it represents reaching a large audience. The dollars and cents I'm comfortable with right now because I managed to make enough from the concert tours and so forth, publishing, to pay for the equipment that I use and to pay the people who are making the music. But the problem about reaching a larger audience is it's important to me because more people know my face from a poster or from doing an interview on television or radio or magazine than have ever heard the albums or have ever seen the group live. So it makes you wonder. I'm famous, but most people don't even know what I do.
So Frank Zappa there, and that sentiment that he's got behind that, the sort of, it's an almost anti-capitalist statement in a strange way. He's very outspoken how he's really anti-communist, but he doesn't seem to be he doesn't necessarily mean he's pro-capitalist either. He has a very refreshing view on the idea of publicity and the idea of mass media and things like that, and it's something that will amuse and entertain throughout this film, which is, it's only a short 90-minute, I'd say. It's only like 93 minutes, things like that. It's by Thorsten Schut, German filmmaker whose work I'm not overly familiar with. But having said that, his work here is stellar. This is a real sharp, feisty, furious kind of a documentary. It perfectly encapsulates that kind of madcap energy that we associate so readily with Frank Zappa. Now, I know Frank Zappa as a personality, and I know his music. It having it all in one place and having it all come together in the way that this does is actually something to behold. I bemoan a lot of musical documentaries for being, DVD extras. This is definitely not that. It's not quite Amy or Supersonic. It's not a polished product in that way. I would liken it to something like Gimme Danger, which obviously quite recent example.
Yeah, it's like a fortnight ago.
It's fortnight, something like that. I would liken it to something like that. I really enjoyed it. I liked it. I loved the music in it, and I liked that it managed to just perfectly bottle up and proudly display exactly what it was that made Frank Zappa what he is. But the energy behind it was infectious. I really got into it, and I liked that it was so reliant on him, that it was more reliant on him than anything else, because with music docs it tends to be you need the source. You can't constantly go around the revolving door of talking heads that these things get. You don't need that. It adds nothing. It's that standard TV thing of let's just ask a random stand-up comic, things like that. Yeah. No one cares. And I watched a documentary the other day in which they literally did exactly that. I try to remember what it was. They asked like a stand-up comic about something serious as well. I was like, why have you done this?
It just didn't resonate very well.
Didn't resonate. Why are you here? But yeah, but
Jack Whitehall, you're not a comedian.
But it is like that. It's like when they're doing a documentary, and you know that they've never met this person.
Right.
They're just asking them because they're famous.
Yeah.
It's like,
you are a name.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, let's ask Matt Lucas about Paddington, about the legacy of Paddington.
I once saw Matt Lucas at a Ben Folds gig.
I saw Paul Merton the other day.
Did you actually meet him in real life?
No, Paul Merton was in our screening of Sully.
No way.
Actually was.
Paul Merton is one of my favourite people ever.
He's one of mine as well. I've never met him. He is the only one of the original Have I Got News For You lineup that I've not met. So...
Oh, so you've already met...
I met Angus Deaton, I met Paul Ian Hislop.
Ian Hislop.
Yeah, Paul Merton is the one I haven't met.
You got Full House.
Got better. I met Ian Hislop, and then the following week, to the day, met Angus Deaton.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
At separate events.
No, in fact, weirdly, it was on the same street in Soho.
Mad.
So, yeah, it's weird, I know. Although I did want to talk to Paul Merton, but I really needed the bathroom. He left before I got the chance. So I did, and I made sure to wash my hands. I really did. Anyway,
you scrubbed him extra hard.
I met George Takei in a men's room once, and
did he say hello?
He went, please wash your hands. I'm like, yeah. Oh, sorry, so sorry. How was my George Takei, by the way?
It was better than my Matthew McConaughey. Way better. I've got a bit of a cold though, so I can't go full McConaughey.
McConaughey.
Yeah.
But, well, I named my dog after him. So
that's true. Yeah.
The middle name, not her actual name. Named after a car.
Do you know who's does a good impersonation of Matthew McConaughey?
Go on.
James Marsden.
James Marsden.
Yeah,
does Matthew McConaughey?
He was on Colbert the other day, and it was like perfect. It was spot on.
Nice. So go on, let's go back to some news for a bit. What you got for me?
Okay, here's some new film news about new films.
Okay, new film. I like new films.
So there is going to be a film called The Pact. I don't know if you've heard about this one.
The Pact. No, not offhand.
It's going to be a comedy. It's going to be coming out, I think, sometime later next year. It's not shooting yet. Shooting like early next year.
Yeah.
It's going to be starring Leslie Mann, Ike Barinholtz, and everybody's favourite comedian, John Cena.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It actually sounds really funny. For John Cena, I guess. The pitch basically is about three parents who learn that their daughters have sworn a pact to lose their virginities on prom nights.
Oh no.
And then the parents, obviously, they learn about it. They want to stop it from happening. you can imagine.
Yeah, this sounds like Clark Gregg's character from the To-Do List.
It does a little bit, yeah. Hilarity ensues. Yeah.
Speaking of John Cena, here's a weird. This isn't actually film news because it's not confirmed or anything. Last week,
is this Marvel?
This is Marvel. Yeah. Last week, John Cena's name appeared on the cast list on IMDb for Thor Ragnarok, and it immediately started this rumor that John Cena was going to turn up playing himself.
Yes, he's going to fight the Hulk,
which is odd.
Yeah,
especially considering the movie, is going to at least partly take place in an alien gladiator ring. So,
well, the rumor is the Hulk is going to be fighting the most powerful beings from different worlds.
Yeah,
and
John
Cena would be representing Earth.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Which is a good way of saying, "Oh, let's get him," because The Rock is tied up with Shazam.
I have been saying for years that Marvel do need to rely more on talent pool from the WWE. Yeah. Prior to Batista. Prior to Batista, I was saying that they needed to do something like this, where they needed, because wrestlers are ready-made muscle talent. Like they obviously can act because they're wrestlers.
Absolutely.
The performances they put on when they're doing the smack talk stuff is second to none, because most of them behave nothing like what they actually do in the performance.
Well, Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote the songs for Moana, he said that The Rock was sort of tailor-made for this because he basically wrote the songs for Moana, and he based the singing and vocal range on when The Rock would write songs about towns that he would be performing in as a wrestler. So apparently he used to do this thing where, say he was in Arizona or something, or some state where he's meant to be a bad guy, he'd come up with a trash talk song.
Oh, nice.
And then sing about them. And so that's how he figured out The Rock's vocal range from listening to these songs about different places.
It paid off. The Rock does have a great musical number in Moana. In fact, they've actually put it out as a promotional clip. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called You're Welcome.
Yeah, it is called You're Welcome. I've not listened to it because I've been reserving myself until the film comes out. Yeah. I've only got 2 more days to wait. So.
There is a sort of another one that's kind of its version of Let It Go, which is Moana's own song. But,
right, yeah. That's the one that's been pushed for Best Song, I think.
Is it?
I believe so.
Oh, man.
We'll find out all about this soon.
I tell you, Shakira needs to get it for Try Everything.
I think that's on a long list.
It's got to happen. Shakira needs to win an Oscar for Try Everything.
Apparently Sia has put forward, I think it's 5 songs. I think she's got a song for Secret Life of Pets and
she does,
variant things.
Yeah.
Pharrell Williams has got a song for, what's it called?
Fences?
No,
Wouldn't surprise me.
NASA film, Hidden Figures.
Oh yeah, Hidden Figures. Yeah, he has.
Yeah,
isn't John Legend involved with Hidden Figures as well?
I believe so. Of course, John Legend won for Selma.
He did, yes. John Legend and Common, wasn't it?
And Common.
And it was a brilliant song that I don't remember from the film, but I do. When I saw the Oscar performance, I was like, this is amazing. I got to have this song.
Can you imagine if that didn't win that year?
Oh, it was such a great performance.
The performance
spectacle.
There's that scene of.
Did we watch that together?
I think we did. Yeah, Chris Pine cried. Because there was a close-up of the camera just on a teary Chris Pine.
Oh, I got to tell you about a film I watched the other day. And this is coming to Netflix in a couple of weeks, in the next couple of weeks. I finally got to watch the documentary For the Love of Spock.
Was it good?
I'd had it on I'd had the screener stored on my iPad for months, and I'd never gotten to it. And funny story, Leonard Nimoy's theatrical debut was in a film called Kid Monk Baroni, which is actually directed by Alan Frank's late father-in-law.
Huh.
So, in a sense, Alan Frank's father-in-law discovered Leonard Nimoy. So, we have him to thank. And I got to watch this film, and I was blown away by it. It was actually really moving. It was great to see, for instance, Zach Quinto talk about his relationship with Leonard Nimoy, which was just surreal, but really good. It was written and directed by Adam Nimoy.
Okay.
And it's a really interesting documentary. I recommend it. It's hitting Netflix shortly, so check it out.
Tell me about Spike Lee.
Tell you about Spike Lee. Okay, well, Spike Lee's back. He's written and he's co-directed Chi-Raq, in which is he's taken the ancient Greek play Lysistra, and he has adapted it for contemporary Chicago. And he has used it as this sweeping statement to talk about gun control, to talk about hashtag Black Lives Matter, to talk about gang violence and gang culture, to talk about the state of America today. And he's done it in this madcap, almost Baz Luhrmann-like way that you just never saw coming. What you've got is a story whereby Lysistra, who's still named the same, decides, after an innocent child is gunned down in the crossfire between two gangs, she decides to lead her own little community rebellion, in which all the women of the community will band together and deny their men sex until they effectively lay down their arms and agree to, knock this off. Right? Enter an all-star cast. And I should mention, this thing is not so much narrated, but presented by Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes, I heard
who
about that.
breaks the fourth wall, talks direct to camera, and is this madcap, zany presenter type character. You've got, let's say, an all-star cast in there as well. So you've got Nick Cannon as Chi-Raq, who's one gang leader. You've got Wesley Snipes as Cyclops, the other gang leader.
Incredible.
And yes, he does have a sparkly eye patch. Yes. You've got Harry Lennox turns up. So you've got Sam Jackson, Angela Bassett. You've got, who am I thinking of? I was really impressed by this as well. Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle turns up.
I heard Dave Chappelle's in it.
Right, and that is where our clip comes from, in which Dave Chappelle more or less explains the plot for you.
All right, peep this. I got 30 girls stripping for me. Another 5 on loan, and not one of them is answering their damn phone. This is whack. Yeah, I mean, at this time of the night, the champagne room would be full of life. Young boys putting dollar bills in the drawers of all my pretty thrills. Cyclops, we have been struck by a plague that will put that biblical pestilence to shame. And this famine only affects the lower regions where all you young Trojans do most of your thinking. I mean, this is the male side of the aisle. If you can't squeeze it, you at least wanna, tease it. Oh, but these hoes have literally shut down the penis power grid. So my question to y'all is what you motherfuckers done did, huh? The situation's out of control because I'm in front of an empty stripper pole.
Right, if you didn't know, the entire film is in rhyme.
That's amazing.
Right, I'll be honest with you, and I admit this straight off, but I was dreading this. I really was. The concept is so wacky.
You're not a big fan of Spike Lee?
I can take or leave Spike Lee, to be honest. I always have. I've always found him to be a personality, and his personality is visible and it bleeds through his films. I've always found him to be someone I can take or leave. I find his opinions can veer wildly from the sensible to the outright unnecessarily preachy. Now, what he's done here is he's stepped back the Spike Lee-ness a little bit and he's letting the film talk for itself. It is bonkers. No way around that. It is utterly, utterly bonkers. But you know what? It just about works. And you have to admire the sheer audacity of it. It is a film that revels in its own absurdity. It is very self-aware. It is self-referential as well. And I think the anchor really is Samuel L. Jackson, who keeps popping up with this very knowing, almost jester-like presenter persona. There are great performances in there. I forget the name of the lead. She's terrific. I've not seen her in anything before. Oh, that's what I'm forgetting on the cast list as well. John Cusack, who delivers...
Really?
Yes. John Cusack delivers the best performance you have seen from him in years. And I'm going back to... I tried thinking about when the last time I really enjoyed a John Cusack performance was. I got as far back as 1408.
Yeah.
That's as far back as I
was that, 2007?
Something like that, yeah. John Cusack is the local preacher. The local priest, and he's leading the spiritual side of the the innocent child has been gunned down sort of storyline.
I was thinking about him the other day. I was thinking about his performance as Nixon in The Butler.
Oh, I liked that. I could have done with more of him.
I did not like that.
Did you not like that? I liked it. I thought the flop sweat down.
Me.
Well, I mean, I think it's depressing that John Cusack has reached a stage where he can play Richard Nixon.
I know.
But no, I very much like Chi-Raq. Sorry, say it's not got an awful lot of mainstream appeal, but I think it does play like a fusion of Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet and Do the Right Thing. It's like you smash those two together, and smash is the operative word. You smash them together, you get this, and it is bold, and it is audacious, and it's daring, and it manages in a very weird, unexpected way to come out as this wonderful statement of this era, of now, of you wouldn't have thought you'd get this out of it, but it turns out that going back to the ancient Greeks of all things, Spike Lee managed to find about the most contemporary material he could get. Which is in itself the ultimate irony. Who'd have thunk it? But here we are.
Good job, Spike.
I really liked it. But So what's going on in the film news then?
I don't really have much more.
What was that Tony Gilroy thing going on?
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
I've got a few more pieces actually thinking about it. So yeah, Tony Gilroy is standing to gain. Did we say it was about an extra $5 million?
Yeah, I heard this. It's because he did the reshoots for Rogue One, didn't he?
Or at least he helped.
He helped.
Reshoots. Yeah.
Officially, he helped.
We can neither confirm or deny.
No, I'm sure
if
not.
He completely handled it. But yeah, we shall see when the film comes out anyway. It's one of those weird things, isn't it, about reshoots? Like,
you never quite know. I mean, sometimes you get something amazing, sometimes you get the Fantastic Four. Sorry, Fan Four Stick, whatever it's called.
Yeah, call it its proper name, then.
Well, that's the thing. I like Tony Gilroy's work. Didn't he do... Was it The Bourne Legacy?
Yes.
He did the Bourne Legacy, didn't he?
And Michael Clayton, that's him, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
That was really good. George Clooney.
Well, I've got a couple of interesting pieces.
All right, let me know. What have you got?
Well, first of all, Ray Fiennes is retiring from playing villains. That's a thing.
Well, when you've got Voldemort in your belt.
Oh, he has said that's the only villain he'll come back and do again. Like if there's ever, he said if there's ever a need for Voldemort to come back, he will happily play him.
Which that's pretty cool.
That's fine with me.
Yeah. That's Warner Brothers doing a Voldemort prequel, then.
Clearly, yeah. Bradley Cooper is going to do Gavin O'Connor's new film.
Yeah, what is that called again? That's a World War II film, isn't it?
That is the World War II. It's called Atlantic Wall.
Atlantic Wall. That's got a cool story to it.
It has. It is about a paratrooper who gets dropped behind enemy lines in the hours before D-Day. And while he's there, he has to, for some reason, he has to protect the son of one of his fallen comrades. But, yeah, it sounds interesting.
Yeah,
but
pretty cool.
I didn't realise as well, Bradley Cooper has a production company with Todd Phillips.
Yeah, what is that called again?
Joint Effort. And the pair of them are executive producers on this film.
They did War Dogs, didn't they?
They did War Dogs together, yeah.
Producing unit.
Because he and Todd Phillips are BFFs now, it seems.
Yeah,
so,
they are indeed. Dan Trachtenberg, who did Cloverfield.
Yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Which we both really enjoyed.
We both enjoyed it.
It was great.
That's going to be on some best-of lists, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's
which we're going to be doing in a couple of weeks.
Oh, yes, we're going to have to do it in a few
weeks.
Look
forward to it, yeah. Cool. He's going to be doing a biopic about Houdini.
Yes, I heard about it. Yeah, it's a revisionist biopic, though. So they're adding a little bit. It's based on a book, Houdini, The Birth of America's First Superhero, or something like that. And it's basically going to put forward the idea that Houdini, as well as being the great stage magician, was also an investigator of the paranormal.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
This is what you needed a young John Cusack for.
Absolutely, yeah.
Young John Cusack would have walked that.
We don't want John Cusack as Edgar Allan Poe.
No. How did that film suck? Like, the casting was so good.
Who else is it? Luke Evans is in there.
Yeah, Luke Evans was in there.
Brendan Gleeson's in there.
Brendan Gleeson. Who was the girl in that?
It
wasn't Jessica Chastain. No. It'll come to me.
I don't think it was. But yeah, that shouldn't have sucked, and he did.
No.
That's not fair.
It should have been good.
B.D. Wong.
Yes.
B.D. Wong is coming back to Jurassic World.
Yes, I can't wait.
Doctor Wu. Doctor Wu.
Have you heard the quote on this one, by the way? And it came from Frank Marshall, who was given every quote this last week.
I was going to say a lot of the news has come just from Frank Marshall.
I feel like we should have just spoken to Frank Marshall for an hour and given him all of the news. His quote was, and this is genuine, word for word, when you get to pop off in a helicopter at the end, it's usually a sure sign that you're coming back. So, fair play. Can't fault that.
And Ifran Khan will not be returning because he died in a helicopter last one.
Exactly, yeah. There is news, actually, as well, that... Also, have a guess who came up with this one. Can you guess who the source is on this bit of news?
Kavanjane Wallace.
It is Kavanjane Wallace, otherwise known as Frank Marshall. Frank Marshall has revealed that he's involved in a plot to stop them ever remaking Back to the Future or E.T.
Good on him.
Yeah, he, Robert Zemeckis, and Bob Gale, who of course is the writer of Back to the Future, they have to agree on a remake of Back to the Future before Universal can ever do it.
So it's like a pact.
There's like a pact going on.
That's great.
So there's the sad news. We didn't get to do the sad news this week.
Ron Glass
died. That was sad news.
That's very, very sad news. Of course, from Firefly and Serenity is why I know him from.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Firefly and Serenity, as you may have gleaned over time. Although I will point out, I first saw Ron Glass on a Nickelodeon series in the 90s called Teen Angel, in which... do you remember Teen Angel?
I forgot. He's God's brother. Or
God's cousin. God's cousin Rod. Yeah,
I forgot that was him.
That was Ron Glass.
Oh, I'm even more bummed out.
Also, Kerry Washington's dad in Lakeview Terrace.
True, and
it's an awful movie, but
I feel like he's in an episode of Friends.
He's Ross's divorce lawyer in Friends.
Ross for Divorce Force.
Yeah, he's Ross's divorce lawyer in Friends.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever turned up in Suits, although it seems like he should have.
It seems like a show that he would have been in.
He passed away aged 71. Do you know I met him in 2006?
Did you actually?
Yeah, I did.
I feel like you've met quite a lot of celebrities.
I met him and Alan Tudyk on the same day in 2006.
You met Alan Tudyk?
Yes, I met Alan Tudyk, yeah. 2006 at a convention in Milton Keynes, and he was the nicest man in the universe. He really was. I think there was with about 6 friends, and we all had a big group picture taken with him, and he was really charming and sweet. I've tried to find a picture, actually. You do misplace that one.
I was once setting up for a convention in Sheffield, setting up all the stuff for our stall, and there's this big guy who was just going around to all the stalls, and really, really friendly, dead polite, was going up to all the stalls, just being like, "Hi there, guys, hope you have a really good weekend, hope you have a really, really nice time." Do you know who it was?
Go on.
Gimli.
Oh, John Rhys-Davies.
Yes.
Met him too.
I would imagine so. He's really nice. Yeah, he's just go around just saying, "Hope you have a great time, guys."
He's a lovely bloke, John
Really
Rhys-Davies.
lovely bloke.
I met him at outside a Q&A for the Indiana Jones trilogy.
Oh, really?
Back when it was just a trilogy.
Yeah.
And
what are you talking about? They never made a 4th one.
Exactly.
Are you telling me there was a 4th one with aliens? Never happened.
Never happened. No.
Indiana Jones wasn't in a fridge. Shut up. I didn't.
Do you imagine? Could you imagine if you could tell your child self that one day you're going to see Indiana Jones in a fridge, like survive a nuclear explosion?
I'd have taken cyanide capsule.
Like, no,
I'd have popped it
that's
off.
not happen. That could never happen. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Have you heard about the Superman Lives thing? You know the old Nicolas Cage Superman Lives project with Kevin Smith?
I remember, of course, yeah.
Well, there's like an outcry to get Kevin Smith to do it in animated form with Warner Brothers Animation, because they're doing all these Elseworld ones now, and there's like Justice League Dark's being made, and we recently had The Killing Joke as well. Well, this is the thing, they want Superman Lives, because the script in its entirety is available online now.
Of course it is, yeah.
So you can actually read what would have been the Nicolas Cage Superman movie.
So would Nick Cage then have to return?
This is the thing. Kevin Smith had said that would be so great to do with the voice cast. We wanted the live action cast to do the voices, get Nick Cage.
He was a really cool.
He
was meant to be Jimmy Olsen. It was Chris Rock, wasn't it?
Chris Rock for Jimmy Olsen. He wanted Michael Rooker for Lex Luthor.
That's perfect. I mean, that makes sense for Kevin Smith.
Well, the thing with I can't remember who. One of the names for Lois Lane was Courtney Cox.
Another one was Sandra Bullock.
That was it, yeah. Sandra Bullock and Courtney Cox. So I feel like they had a very specific type in mind.
There was one iteration of Superman Lives where Kevin Spacey was going to be Lex Luthor and then ended up being Lex Luthor.
And then
Brian
Kevin Spacey got mooted around for Flyby instead, which was the J.J. Abrams version.
Yes.
With the non-flying, karate-kicking Superman. Oh, no, he did fly, but he didn't have... He had Kryptonian Kung Fu or something.
Kryptonian Kung Fu.
Yeah, and... Yeah, so this is the thing. Kevin Smith has said, I will totally do that.
Yeah.
But the Sam Mendes one, you heard about that?
He's left a project.
I forgot
what project it's called.
I think we talked about this way back when.
When he was attached to it.
I think it was about June, July. He was attached to a project which was based on a book called The Voyeur's Motel. And the reason we talked about at the time was because the writer of the book had been forced to address the fact that his sources couldn't be relied on. That his material was shaky, questionable at best. Well, the studio pushed ahead with it, and they've now run into another problem entirely. This was going to be a DreamWorks thing.
There's a documentary being made.
There's a documentary being made, and both the writer of the book and the man the book is about neglected to mention this at any point.
So Sam Mendes was like, oh,
I'm just going to say, if I've been followed around for 2 years by a documentary crew, it's usually the kind of thing I remember to tell people when someone asks, can I make a film about you? Usually, we've got experience with that.
I'm Van, this is my documentary crew. Yeah,
exactly.
You drop it into conversation,
Yeah, exactly. Step Up 6, we talked about that. It's going to be a Chinese spin-off now.
Because money.
Because money. China has all the money.
It does.
Scorsese's Frank Sinatra movie has been shelved.
Yeah, it's dead.
Dead.
Yeah. Once upon a time, it was going to be starring Leo Dio.
Oh, man.
I know.
Well, I know that
could have won him that elusive Oscar, but he's never won.
But he's never ever won. No, because this is recorded. This is recorded December 2015. I know that he wanted for the older years. He wanted Al Pacino to be old Frank Sinatra, and Robert De Niro as old Dean Martin. So
that's pretty perfect, isn't it?
That could work.
Yeah.
Ben Wheatley and Tom Hiddleston are getting back together. This is what?
Hard Boiled.
Hard Boiled.
Actually, so that's a Frank Miller.
Frank Miller comic book, which is I forget the concept of that one.
I do as well. It involves guns.
It involves guns
and fighting.
But that's the other one. Jessica Chastain is setting herself up as a producer. Did you know this?
I think I heard. It's the comic book property, but she's...
Oh, no, that was a couple of weeks ago. It's Painkiller Jane.
Painkiller Jane, of course,
yeah. She's going to star in and produce Painkiller Jane. Of course, there was a Sci-Fi Channel series a decade and a half ago, something like that, which starred, I believe, Kristanna Loken, a.k.a. the TX, which is the laziest name for a Terminator ever.
Yeah.
And then, now they're bringing it back. It's going to be a proper feature film. It's going to be the actual feature film debut of the character. Starring Jessica Chastain, she's going to produce it. But also, she's producing another project.
What's this one?
It's currently untitled. It is about the Black Mambas, the anti-poaching organisation.
Okay.
Right. She's going to produce it. She's not going to star in it. Have a guess who's written this. It is the last person. First of all, I did not know this person was a playwright.
Instead of saying, "Come on, Janae Wallace," who am I going to say?
Shall I just say Michonne from The Walking Dead and leave it at that?
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I can't remember her name. She's actually a playwright, though. I didn't know this. So Michonne from The Walking Dead. I know her first name. Deny that. That's all I know. Does it begin with G?
It does begin with a G.
Yeah. It'll come
probably
to me.
a U in there as well.
It'll come to me. Yeah. Mortal Engines is going to be a film by Christmas 2018, produced by Peter Jackson.
And he's going to be writing it as well.
Yeah.
With
Philippa Walsh
and
Fran. We'll get there.
If we talk like this, then we'll probably...
I don't know. I feel like I'm stretching with my voice to try and remember what it is. No,
let's go to different films.
Let's go to different news. But no, so I can't remember. He's writing and producing it, so yeah, that could work it out.
No, but do you know what? He's made films before. He's made a couple.
Well, sorry if I'm wrong. So this is the story of a future in which the Earth's resources have been depleted, and there's like 4 cities that are built on effectively tank. The tank wheels.
Yeah.
What do they call them? The caterpillar tracks that tanks have.
I think you've just described it pretty well.
Yeah, and they basically trail through the Earth, consuming resources. And, it's about a young boy.
Which sounds very Mad Maxian.
It does, doesn't it? I think you could make it that way. Stallone has effectively he's abandoned and hindered a project over at STX Entertainment.
What was this called?
Godforsaken.
There was something promising about that. What was it now?
He was playing an ex-con who regretted, basically turned his back on his life of crime. His son had been murdered and he had to go and protect his family.
Which sounds like standard Sly film.
It does,
Who was the director, though? Director was someone...
Oh, I did know
this. Related to a film, but I really liked.
I did know this. I've forgotten it now. But yeah, Stallone, I'll find out in a second. Stallone has actually left it for reasons that he's not given, and they are keeping the director. It was someone really interesting. It was Jim Mickle from Cold in July.
Yes.
Yeah, Jim Mickle's still attached as director, though.
Okay.
And they are still going ahead with it. They have said, well, we are going to go ahead with it. We're just going to recast it. We're going to put it back into development, recast it, and then move on.
Just get Arnie.
Well, the weird thing was, it was Stallone who brought the project to STX in the first place.
Huh.
And STX are trying to make a name for themselves at the minute. They're kind of the new up-and-coming studio. They did Bad Moms. That was our first big success story, is Bad Moms.
Which I didn't like.
Did you not like?
No.
Fair enough. It's not to everyone.
It was just like... Here's some dialogue for 20 seconds, and here's a hit song from 2016. Just every minute.
That's fair. I'll give you that. Do you remember when Doug Liman left? What was the superhero movie? When he left Gambit?
Yeah.
When Doug Liman left Gambit, he signed on to another project instead. I'm not talking about Justice League Dark. He signed on to another one called Chaos Walking.
Yes, this is a young adult adaptation. Daisy Ridley
is still attached. Yes, a trilogy of books that post-apocalyptic dystopian future with young people kind of a thing.
That's pretty original.
Apparently they make money. What's called Lead?
Who is the lead?
The lead is our new Spider-Man, Mr. Tom Holland
himself. No way.
So Spider-Man's meeting Ray for a Doug Liman movie. That sounds interesting.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued by that. But also, I like Doug Liman. I find his films. I find his films reliable.
I find him reliable.
That's it. But that's the thing. I like that he's doing Justice League Dark because it's the only possible way I could get excited about it.
Yeah.
But
Edge of Tomorrow was really good.
Oh, I loved Edge of Tomorrow, and we are still getting a sequel. Apparently,
we are. It's going to happen at some point.
Not quite sure what that's going to be.
He's writing the screenplay, but he's doing Mission Impossible 6 first.
Yeah. We'll see what comes of that. So I rewatched an old Cage movie this week, which I hadn't seen since it came out.
I feel a segue coming on.
There is a segue. I'm going to segue into Moment of Cage, if I'm honest. But so I watched this Nicolas Cage movie that I haven't seen since it came out, and I had forgotten how great it was. I really enjoyed it. I'll give you a hint. It also starred Ethan Hawke and Mr. Jared Leto. And so you know the one.
I know what it is.
So from the movie Lord of War, here it is.
Your Moment of Cage.
Of all the weapons in the vast Soviet arsenal, nothing was more profitable than Automat Kalashnikova, model of 1947, more commonly known as the AK-47 or Kalashnikov. It's the world's most popular assault rifle, a weapon all fighters love. An elegantly simple 9-pound amalgamation of forged steel and plywood. It doesn't break, jam, or overheat. It will shoot whether it's covered in mud or filled with sand. It's so easy, even a child can use it. And they do. The Soviets put the gun on a coin. Mozambique put it on their flag. Since the end of the Cold War, the Kalashnikov has become the Russian people's greatest export. After that comes vodka, caviar, and suicidal novelists. One thing's for sure, no one was lining up to buy their cars.